Drive with Bill Cameron on ESPN 106.7 and online at ESPNAU.com.
Last night, right when the show ended, it was announced the college football playoff rankings were released right at 6 o'clock last night. Not before, so we couldn't have them, but really interesting to look at the college football playoff poll. Your top four, Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, and Washington, with Michigan number 5, and then your Big Ten championship game participants.
It's going to be
really, really interesting to see how that works out. And then what, of course, a lot of local folks were looking for was, where is Auburn? Where is Florida? What does this mean? And then we had said yesterday that, last week Auburn was 13, Florida was 15, and LSU was not ranked. Well, LSU came in at 21, so that doesn't appear to be a concern. Auburn only dropped from 13 to 14. But Florida, and I'm more than a little surprised here, Florida stayed 15. Florida did not drop one spot after losing by 18 points to the number 12 team. Auburn lost by 18 points to the number 1 team, the supposedly overwhelmingly number 1 team. And so I thought, when I saw the order and saw Auburn at 14, I went, well, that's pretty good. But I wonder, is the college football playoff committee setting this up so that Florida will jump Auburn with a loss? Because what I heard in the explanations last night was they have not taken they redo it every week, and every week they redo the strength of schedule. Mm-hmm. Well, you add Florida playing the number 1 team, they very well could pass Auburn unless they just get completely destroyed.
Which they will.
But if Alabama beats them by 21 points, they may still jump Auburn because they get a bump in their strength of schedule.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how that's going to work out, but there's going to be some unhappy folks when the Final Four teams.
Oh, you're not kidding.
Because there's just no way.
Whether there are any upsets or not.
There's just no way. Some teams are going to feel like they need to be in there because they're one of the best 4 teams.
Or they're one of the Power 5 conference champs.
Yeah. But, with that logic, if you should be in there because you're one of the very best teams, does that mean in the NCAA basketball tournament, if Kentucky gets put out in the second round, they ought to go ahead and put them back in the championship because they're one of the best teams? Well, that's the same logic as some of these. Well, we know we're one of the best teams, although we might have lost 2 games.
Well, if you had a 4-team tournament, it would be.
Yeah.
But, the problem is what they're saying is just because you win a regular season conference title, you don't get a bye.
Well,
that's the thing. So you're going to have some you're going to have some screams from wherever, whether Colorado beats Washington or Virginia Tech beats Clemson, or they don't, no matter what, because they say, and they're absolutely say that there has been no accounting yet for conference championships.
Yeah.
And that is going to be a big accounting. So what that is saying is, Washington, you're probably out. No matter what, you're probably out.
Well, I tell you this.
How would it be to be the number 4 team going in and win your conference championship and perhaps be bumped?
Well, how would it be to win the conference championship and having beat Ohio State head-to-head, and then Ohio State gets in over Penn State?
Well, that's sort of like the seedings, though. They have one loss to 2.
Yeah.
There's no way. I was talking with somebody about that earlier today, and they said, well, then you have to let the conference championship count as 2 wins. And I said, well, 12-2 is still not better than 11-1. 12-2 percentage-wise, it takes 23-2 to be better than 11-1. So are you going to make the conference championship count as much as the entire regular season? I don't think you can do that, because if you do that, then Florida would be able to claim that they should be able to jump into the Final Four. This is a mess.
Well,
and it's going to be a mess Sunday when the announcements are made, if they can be made Sunday.
Yeah.
Did you see what's...
Well, Navy...
That's exactly right.
Navy jumping in there if they win that conference, and then...
If they win the
they jump ahead of Western
and move
Michigan.
ahead of Western Michigan, then they cannot announce any bowl pairings until after the Army-Navy game.
And that's the next weekend.
And that is December the 10th, and that will just completely mess up. A lot of teams won't know who they're playing, where they're playing, if they're playing. The teams that might be fillers because of academics who are under 500 won't know anything, and those schools have much smaller budgets to be working with trying to make plans. So this thing is a mess, and it's going to be a mess.
Why is the Army-Navy game seems to be a week later than normal?
It always is.
Usually it was the same weekend as the SEC.
No, it's the last year it was a week after. I guess because it was figured they didn't figure that they were going to win a conference championship. They'd still get a bowl bid.
Yeah.
But now,
Yeah, there's a lot. That tail's wagging the dog right there.
You're absolutely right.